Stars Oilers Game 5 Western Conference Finals. We'll break that down right here on PuckTime, powered by WagerTalk TV. Guys, I'm Andrew, and I've got Carmine with me as usual to try and close out the week with some winners here on a nice Friday. I was going to say afternoon, but it's only afternoon for me. It's probably morning for the rest of you guys watching the show right now. But Carm, good morning to you as it is the morning for you. How are you, Carm?
I'm doing great, Andrew. I almost, I tweeted last night. I almost projectile vomited when at the end of that Florida game because I'm like, I was on the under 4% on the under, back to back 4% plays for me, as I also had it in the Edmonton game on the over and the night previous, and I'm watching the empty net goal and it's 3-1. I'm like, there's 2 minutes left. I go, if the Rangers score, Florida's going to get another shot at an empty netter. And then what happens? The Rangers score, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be the worst beat of the NHL playoffs for me. But thankfully, and then my wife is getting kicks out of it, Andrew, because we're watching the game and the puck goes into the corner, into Florida's corner, and all I'm doing is yelling at the TV, smother it, smother it, smother it, like just keep it in the corner for 30 seconds, which they did. Clock ran out, and I survived the under 5.5 with that one. Uh, Great game, and we're going to get to this Dallas one in a second, Andrew. But I wanted to talk to you really quickly just before we get into it on the betting numbers. The series price now on Florida is it's insane. I get it; they're up 3-2 and they're returning home, but the price is minus 550 on Florida to win the series, plus 400 in the Rangers. And but the price is right if you calculate more from the Rangers' point of view. They're plus 145 in Game 6. If they return home, if they win that game and return home for Game 7, it'll probably be the same line as it was for Game 5, which was minus 130ish for Florida, plus 110 for the Rangers. If you're dealing a 20-cent line, and a rolling parlay on those two Ranger wins would pay you back at I think plus 414. So the plus 400's correct, but it is it just me, or does that seem like an insane price in a series where it's like it seems like they're all like 1 goal games?
Yeah, it does feel like the books overall have just been. I mean, yesterday we ran through the odds before the game started, and we looked at what the Stanley Cup odds, Conn Smythe odds were, and Carm, the New York Rangers were being discounted as it is, and then now, of course, they're down in the series, and they're being even more heavily discounted. I'm curious. Like, we see the opening number there for tomorrow being like I'm seeing at Pinnacle and Circa minus 165, 170 for the potential closeout game. And as you mentioned, like the series price right now, just a little bit out of hand. I mean, one thing that we can say, and it's a good point to mention this because obviously we won't have a show tomorrow. If anybody wants to get down on the Rangers, you're better off just taking them as far as their series is concerned, right? Instead of taking them tomorrow to win the game, you're better off taking them on the series price. It's been very successful doing that. And a lot of times people are setting themselves up for a good spot to earn a unit. Pick up a unit by taking this great plus price in the series. You come back, figure out the math on what you can play Florida for the next day. And either way, you'll make some money with it. But I'm with you. I feel like they've been discounted. But, man, I'll tell you, that play at the empty net goal that Bennett scored, did you see when Bennett bumped into Chris Kreider after he scored the empty net goal, Carm? Chris Kreider looked at him and didn't do anything about it. The game is over. You're already losing the game. Somebody scores a goal and bumps into you. Most normal teams would start pushing around, do something, fight back, show some heart, and Kreider skates away. But hey, you and I we're the Rangers haters. Apparently, we're the Rangers. We're the ones that tried to warn people Shesterkin was saving this team, and now all of a sudden they only score a few goals and they're not winning games anymore. But Florida looks like a team of destiny, Carm. We talked about it at the start of the postseason. And I said it. You remember me saying this many times. They were in walking boots. They were limping around into the conference finals and Stanley Cup finals last year. Tkachuk couldn't even tie his own skates. this year is way different for this Florida team. They're actually healthy right now. So those are my 2 cents on that series.
Yeah, send the message. You know what I mean? It's the end of the game. Send a message for Game 6 in Florida. That's, hey, we're not going to roll over. We're coming down there and we're going to try and win it and send it back home. Um, I haven't decided who I'm playing in that game, but I can tell you right now, I'm cheering for the Rangers to win Game 6. Why? Because I want to see a Game 7. Who wouldn't want to see a Game 7? Unless you're a Florida Panthers fan, you would just want it over in 6. But if you're a Rangers fan, you definitely want to see Game 7. Madison Square Garden is going to be, it would be absolutely electric. Why wouldn't you want to see a Game 7 as a hockey fan, putting aside all bias on the teams that you cheer for? Games Game 7 would be great, Andrew. But we got Game 5 to discuss, and our producer is probably going to say, "You guys are 7 minutes into the show. You haven't even discussed the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. So let's get to it, Carmine." So, Andrew, I'm doing a complete reversal from from the last game where I liked Edmonton and I said to bet Edmonton on the show against Dallas in game 4. The Oilers have done a very good job at playing defense when they need to. Those are 2 bad goals by Skinner in that game, but then they score 5 straight goals in that game, and they won it comfortably. The problem here is now the venue switches to Dallas, and I don't expect Dallas to roll over. This is a 3-game series where 2 of the 3 games for Dallas is on home ice. The matchups for them, making that last change, obviously comes into you have to consider that as well too. They're a very good coach team. I like this team. I think Dallas is the bet tonight. I believe Dallas is the bet. Would I like to see the Oilers win? Of course I would, but from a money perspective, I think Dallas is the bet. This is where you have to separate your bias from your wallet. It's almost like what do they call it? Emotional hedging. You cheer for Edmonton, and but you bet on the Dallas Stars, and either way, you're happy. I'm not happy that way. I want to win the money. I don't want to. I don't care if the team wins or not. I think Dallas is the right play here. I think they send it back to Edmonton with a chance to close it out in Edmonton. This is another series that I think can and should go to 7 games. I think the Stars are the play here. They played well in that game against Edmonton, but they need to be better 5-on-5. And they need to score in their power plays. The Oilers just aren't allowing goals. They're like the Florida Panthers. They are killing off penalties. I get it from Florida. I don't get it from Edmonton because this isn't a team that we would typically think of. When you talk about specialty teams, the first thing that comes to mind is the Oilers' power play. How many times, Andrew, do people mention specialty teams and penalty killing, and the Edmonton Oilers are part of that discussion? But they are killing penalties. They have a system. It is working for them. The Stars need to find a way around that because they need to score on those 5-on-4 situations. And if they can find that tonight, they get the win. I'm leaning on the short price favorite here, the Dallas Stars, to send it back to Edmonton for Game 6, up 3-2. Agree or disagree?
I do agree that we're going to get Dallas's best effort. I feel very similar to how I felt yesterday about the New York Rangers, Carm, where I thought we were going to see the best effort out of Dallas, which is why I thought we were going to get the best effort out of the New York Rangers, which is why I liked the under in that game, and they end up losing. And I like the under in this game, and I'm not sure who wins the game. I expect this one to be tight. The last game just had an absolute bang to start. I mean, we saw Dallas go up early and Edmonton responds. The game before that, in Game 3, Carm, we saw Edmonton go up early and then Dallas responds in the second period with 3 goals. So both teams have proven they can take a punch, get up off the ground, and fight back and keep going. As of right now, Carm, both these teams, they might as well be hoping to give up a 2-goal lead. They might as well hope that they give up 2 goals early on in the game, because whichever team gives up 2 goals is winning this series, the games so far. But one thing that's very concerning to me about this Dallas team, they only had 22 shots in their last game. And keep in mind, the shot that Johnston had that he scored on was a beautiful top corner, bar down, really, really nice goal. They're not really scoring those ugly goals. And if you would have told me that Edmonton have scored more ugly goals than the Stars have been, I would have told you you're crazy, because usually the team with the superstars, that's the team that scores the fancy goals, and the team with the depth, like Dallas, that's the team scoring the ugly goals. We have not seen that. We haven't really been seeing those tight, close to the net, kind of scrappy goals from Dallas. Meanwhile, we've got Edmonton scoring shorthanded goals, backdoor tap-ins, rebound plays. I mean, how awesome was that play where it was McDavid 2-on-1? He knows he shot not to score. He shot off the pad of Ottinger because he knew that he had his defensive guy there right behind him ready to put it into the net. So I think it's been great as far as that's concerned. The shot count is what has to go up. So, Carm, I like the under in this game. Not a huge fan of the price that I'm seeing on it overall. But here's a bet that I like, and I took a couple of games off from betting it, and I'm going to go back to it tonight. Stuart Skinner over 24.5 saves at -120. Again, if you're a trends better, it might sound crazy because you'll say, well, I mean, Dallas, they didn't even really reach the 20 shot mark last game, barely. They had 22 shots. So how do you expect this guy to make 25 saves? Well, Carm mentioned it. Dallas is a very well-coached team. Pete DeBoer knows what he's doing. He'll get his team back on track. They're playing at home. They get the last change once again. I feel like Stuart Skinner has played pretty well this series. They'll need him to have his best game if Edmonton wants to have a chance, Carm. I really think that the shot count go up tonight for the Dallas Stars. Over 24.5 saves tonight for Stuart Skinner is one of my favorite plays. And you look at the Edmonton Oilers on their power play with this team here, 0 for 1 the last game. These power play point props, is it time that we start betting the no on them? I mean, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, it's crazy to think, but it's also dangerous, Carm, for the total, if you're betting under or over, and also for the sides. The fact that Edmonton is winning games without scoring on the power play, and that's a really dangerous thing. But overall, I feel very similar in this game as I felt about yesterday's game when the series switched back to MSG. With the series switching to Dallas, I think that Ottinger and the defensive core, if Tanev plays and he's healthy, he can get out there, have to have a big game. So I lean towards the under, and I also really like the over 24.5 saves for Stuart Skinner. Any thoughts on that save prop, Carm?
I like it because you'd have to play really bad to get yanked from that game. And the Stars. Yeah, I have to believe the Stars. At least their shot numbers are going to go higher. The thing is, with we've seen in the playoffs with a lot of these Andrews, you talk about like those block shots. Now at least they're showing you at the end of the first, end of the second. If you're watching the intermissions, they're showing you the numbers, and it's not just your standard who scored, who assisted, what time it was scored at, and what the shots on goal are. Now they're showing you block shots. They're showing you more of the analytic numbers from that point, and you see how many shot attempts there are. And you'll see with some teams, they've got like 45 to 50 shot attempts and only 22 shots on goal. They just aren't getting to the net. These teams are very good at closing off the lanes. And that's the one thing with these shot props. I've stayed away from it for the last 3-4 games and just focused on sides and totals. That's where I've been profitable this season, and especially in 2024, I looked at just sides and totals, no props, nothing else, and it was like 43 units up in 2024. So I'm sticking to what's working from a profit point of view, but I don't mind that one. Andrew, you look at the 3 or 4 games in this series. The Oilers have scored at least 3 goals. One of them came in overtime, of course, and their team total is 2.5 -130. is there a way for the Oilers to get to 3? They did it in OT. In the first couple of games, we saw 2 low-scoring games in Dallas. One of them went to OT. The first one went to OT. They win that one 3-2. But they choked away a lead in that one when they were up 2-0, and then obviously sent that game to OT. Or we could be talking about 2 games in Dallas, where they failed to hit their team total. Would you look at the team total here? I would think you got to uh, um, you have to look at it. If you like the over, then you like the Oilers team total to go over as well too, because you figure both teams have to contribute. Would you correlate that, or would you just look for something completely different here?
Absolutely. And Carmen, I got a little tidbit for you that I was mentioning with Andy Lang earlier today on the prop show. Jake Ottinger, over 2.5 goals against 3 of his last 4 games, in 7 of his last 9 games against Edmonton, 4 of his last 5 home games. So, hey, that might be a pretty good one. And as far as the numbers for Stuart Skinner, it probably doesn't surprise many people, but his numbers, not nearly as good on the road as they have been at home. So if you do like the over, you would look towards that type of stuff. But again, Carm, let me ask you this. I mean, people just talked ad nauseum about how depth favors the Dallas Stars. Depth favors the Dallas Stars. I'm sitting here at this point, and I truly believe that if you told me tonight the game ended 5-3, I would tell you the Oilers won. If you told me the game ended 3-1, 3-2, I would tell you Dallas won. Do you agree with that, or do you feel like that's not a fair assessment towards the Dallas side?
No, I think it's probably a fair assessment. I think it's what's almost been programmed in us is that the Oilers win high scoring games. We've always thought that. I think, but I think the mentality of the team has changed. I think Chris Knobloch's has them playing some very good defense, coming back checking. He's got their system in their defensive zone, especially when it comes to penalty killing. He's got that corrected for this team. So they are a different team with the same stars on the team. They score when they need to score a majority of the time, but they've got a commitment to defense. It's the one thing, Andrew, that will always hang over the Edmonton Oilers heads, I think, is that if they sort of deviate away from that, even in the slightest, um, how much confidence do you have on Stuart Skinner? Because the goaltending has always been the thing. Skinner plays well within the system that the Oilers are playing when they're playing some very good defense. It is when they don't play very good defense that he allows some of those softies in, and we're like, here we go again. Another Oilers goalie letting them down. So I think we see a good defensive effort from the Oilers tonight. I think tonight's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be something that is similar to the script that we saw in games 1 and 2 in Dallas. So I have no problem in saying I think the Oilers are going to go in there. They could win this game. Obviously, I think it's going to fall into one of those 3-2 type of categories again. Maybe the open netter makes it a 4-2 type of game. But as far as like the team totals, I wanted to gauge your opinion on it, and whether you would take it or wouldn't take it. It's a little more juice to obviously to Dallas. I think the Dallas one is 2.5, 175 as far as the vig goes. So you're paying a lot more there. I hope it's a good game at the end of the day, but I'm leaning Stars. And then when it goes back to Edmonton, I'll be hoping that they even up the series and it goes 7 games. I want to see 7 in both series. The hockey fan in me wants to see 7. The betting fan in me is yet to be determined on who I want to win. So I'll take it. I'll take it that way, Andrew. I want to mention something because we had the contest yesterday. A lot of you guys responded, and a lot of very close guesses. Some of you guys got it correctly. As I stated, it is not whether you get it correctly that you win a T-shirt. I'm just going to pick one of the people in the chat, but one guy I believe I'm going to get his name out. If you're watching this live or watching it later, shoot us an email and I'll get you one. Splashy Smooth. What a name, Splashy Smooth. That's something I think Dan would call his firstborn. Smashy Smooth Alexander. So, Dan, what do you think, Dan? Smashy Smooth?
What a name. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's rough.
Oh, dear God.
That is rough. That's
And
rough.
at exactly
Carm, those shirts look
11:21
good though,
a.m.
man.
Eastern time, this show went off air. Sorry? Say again?
The shirts look good. I saw you tweet them out. The shirts look nice, man. I saw the tweet, the post on X, whatever we're calling it these days, looked good. The goldfish shirt, and it's important for us to be a goldfish. And we got a lot of engagement. So hats off to you. And guys, just so you know, Carm is doing that just out of the kindness of his heart. Carm's not, nobody's putting the shirts out there for him. Carm's doing that on his own. So shout out to Carm for that. The shirts look like quality shirts. And if you guys get a shirt and you win, do us a favor, do Carm a favor, tweet it out, show everybody, show some love, tag the PuckTime Twitter account, tag Carmine, tag WagerTalk. And I like the shirts quite a bit, Carm. So I hope people can wear them. And all the PuckTime stuff that we've had has been pretty good. I wanted to ask you about the first periods. Now, overall, I know I kind of throw these questions at you and you say, well, you don't bet the first periods too many times. But you know what's funny, Carm, is that there's been 4 games in this series so far. The first period over is 3-1. And it seems like that it's been happening a lot in the playoffs where you get a fast first period and then the game settles in. And I feel like during the regular season, it's like kind of the opposite. Like it's a slow first period, like the 1.5 over under. And then the second period is when all the goals come. Like just based on pure odds, usually you have the best odds, like the lowest for over 1.5 in the first period. And then the second period, it's like really juiced up. But right now in the postseason, we're seeing fewer goals in the second period and more goals in the first period. I kind of want to take a look at a contrarian play today and look towards the under 1.5, just simply because I believe that that's the strategy for this Dallas Stars team to have success. Will I get to the window with it? I'm not sure. I mean, we're coming off a game where the first period was 2-2. We saw 4 goals. And let's be real here, Carm. Based on what we've seen the past 2 games, both teams want to clean up the first periods. The first periods have not been good defensively. The Oilers were happy to respond. They got 2 goals and they tied things up. But I think the first period defensively is going to be really important for both these teams. And I get it. I understand. Nobody likes to cheer on unders, but sometimes you have to do it.
I love cheering unders. I did it yesterday. And Andrew, at game 4, I had the over in that game, and it got there. But, post game and, the next morning when, I'm updating spreadsheets and I'm looking at, the numbers of that game, the XG, I couldn't help but think, despite them scoring 4 goals in the first period, that I was fortunate to win that bet. At the very least, it probably should have ended in a push, but I felt fortunate because did get the empty netter. And you would normally think 4 goals in the first period. What are you talking about? Of course, that was a good play. I looked at the analytics and it just did not support what we saw there. And again, it's because of 2 soft ones on Stuart Skinner and then the Oilers having to come back in that one, and Dallas not being able to lock them down when they got that lead, even though the lead was early. You get a 2-goal lead, and we're noticing 2-goal leads just don't seem to hold up in the NHL this season, or at least in the playoffs. But I don't fault you for liking the first period under in this one. You look at the first couple games in the series in Dallas, and again, low-scoring games that both stayed under the total. And if you subscribe to the fact or to the theory that They're back in Dallas again, and we very well see a third one like that. It's similar to the Florida series where I said, I was willing to draw a line through that 5-4 game. That was the only over in that one, and that the Rangers and the Panthers are going to play low scoring games. They're going to be unders. They made you pay a premium on it yesterday, but I paid it and it won. So we'll see if that script holds true tonight as far as another tight, low scoring game. Andrew, I'm just going to go up. I'm going to pivot here for a second because watching that game yesterday, the Florida one, they are doing. We talk about them shutting down their stars in the games. No pun intended for the Stars tonight. Did you see like whenever Panarin has the puck, Forsling is on him right away. This is why Panarin looks invisible out there, is that Forsling is on him right away, doesn't give him a chance to even get through that neutral zone and establish the O zone. They're absolutely shutting down the right players on this team. And this is why I think in all 5 games, Florida has been the best team. Thoughts? Have you noticed that?
Of course, I mean the matchups have been great, and that's the thing is that Florida doesn't get enough credit for that. Do you think? I mean, they don't get enough credit for their defensive ability. I know that people think they're a rough team, kind of a greasy team in some sense, but as much as we hear about depth on other teams, what the Florida Panthers have is depth defensively with their forwards. They're all responsible. They're tight checking, and like you said, it's almost like basketball. They're playing man-to-man defense out there. They're pretty much saying to the New York Rangers, if Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin can't beat us, then I don't think anybody else is going to. And that's why Lafreniere has had a good series because he's been on the other lines. He's been open. But who else has looked good for the Rangers? And that's the thing, is that, do you remember like for many years when the Boston Bruins just had Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand, and those were the only guys that did anything? You had David Krejci and a couple other guys, but that's the thing. You don't want to get exposed as a 3 or 4 man band. And right now, that's kind of what's happening with the New York Rangers, is that you've got guys that are shutting them down. And you know who that goes to, Carm? Paul Maurice steps down as the Winnipeg head coach, goes to Florida, and the guy's had nothing but success since he got there. I think he's been great. So Paul Maurice, man, your favorite coach, he's doing well.
Dude, what do I know? What do I know about coaches? What do I know about coaches? I tried to fire Paul Maurice 8 times during last year's regular season, saying he was not the man for Florida. What do I know? Come on, man. This guy finally got this team. It took him months and months of last year's regular season to buy into his style of play. The final month of the NHL season is like where everything clicked together. They started playing playoff hockey and they rode it to an appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. Do not get your coaching advice from me, although I said Sheldon Keefe wasn't the coach for the Leafs. He's now the coach for the New Jersey Devils. You watch next season, the type of year the New Jersey Devils are going to have, Andrew. And I'll tell you right now, when this season is over and they release the point totals for next year's teams, if I get a really good number on the Devils, I'm just smashing the over on it because the Devils are going to be much better next year. They can't be worse than they were this year, but they are going to be much better next year. One more coaching thing, Lindy Ruff in Buffalo. You're a Sabre fan like me, not you, but if you're a Sabre fan like me, you love Lindy Ruff because he's a former Sabre, but it was the safest coaching decision the organization could make. You want to know why? Because the fans love Lindy Ruff. So what does that do? It buys them another bad season. If the Sabres have a bad season, they can't hate on the coach because they love Lindy Ruff. Safe choices aren't always the right choices.
Exactly. I was just going to say that the safe choices don't always mean they're the right ones. And that's the thing. You don't always want these player coaches, the guys that all the players like. Sometimes you want, and that's what's going to happen in Toronto with Craig Berube. He's not there to be their best friend. All right, Carm, really quick. I'll just blast through a couple that props here that I'm going to like and most likely be on for tonight. All right, we've got Darnell Nurse under 1.5 shots on goal for the Edmonton Oilers. Evander Kane over 2.5 shots on goal. That's at minus 105. We're going to look at Jason Robertson from the Dallas Stars over 2.5 shots. That's at plus 100. Mason Marchment over 1.5 shots on goal. That's a little bit chalky at minus 150. And we're going to go Matt Duchene under 1.5 shots at plus 110. And if you guys are not betting, you're not betting Bouchard assists or point, you could still start. You might as well start tonight because the guy is an absolute machine, whether he's getting a goal or whether he's getting an assist, whether it's 5-on-5, whether it's on the power play. Bouchard has been unbelievable. Carm, the past few shows with this series, I've kind of been giving out my little anytime goal scorer flyers and some little plays. So I'll throw out two guys here for today. I'm going to throw out Evander Kane plus 280, and we're going to go Joe Pavelski plus 310. You got a guy for us you can throw out for anytime goal scorer?
Joe Pavelski, you got Joe Pavelski scoring. I think he should be like 6-1. How many goals does he have in the playoffs, Andrew? 1, 2. Joe Pavelski.
I think 1.
He's got like he's like me. He's got hands of stone, man. When I played hockey, I wasn't there to score the goals, Andrew. I was there to. They used to call it. There was an Italian phrase when our team wasn't playing well. It's kind of like when they threw Rempe on the ice or whatever. The coach would yell out Operation Barbarossa, which is Operation Redbeard. And that meant, Carm, get out there and stir something up. So I just dump it into the corner. When the defensemen win for it, I just nail them against the boards, and then the whole brouhaha would start. That's it. I was suspended for life. But it comes with fighting. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. So sometimes you're gifted with hands that can score, and sometimes you're gifted with hands that are made of stone. It's the latter for me, Andrew. So you can laugh all you want. It is true. When you come here, I still have a clip of that shows that I was given a lifetime ban for fighting because I jumped onto their bench as well too, so I took it a little too far. But with that said, Andrew, I like your player props. They're very good. I'm also putting our producer Dan on alert, so he just takes it a little easy on me, knowing I will drop the gloves whenever needed. We're loving the chat. Rob Braley's in the chat as well too. Took him for lunch yesterday. Great lunch. He left there a much richer man than he did walking in. That's an inside joke that we'll keep for another day. Andrew, today is Fill Your Cart Day at WagerTalk. If you guys are wondering what Fill Your Cart is, you can take 25% off of pretty much everything there, whether it's a 1-day, a 3-day, a 7-day, a 30-day, a 90-day, or if you have a specific sport that you're looking for, just Fill Your Cart, use the promo code SUMMERCART, and 25% will come off of that. So plenty of action ahead. Obviously, NFL's a little ways away, but I'm going to remind you guys all, because we have some very good NFL cappers at WagerTalk, some very smart guys, but I finished number 1 last year in NFL, up 67 units, and I'm looking forward to another year and a deep run in the Circa event as well too. Summer soccer tournaments, those are going on as well. Andrew, no soccer for me today. I'm going to have a soccer card up for MLS tomorrow. I'm going to load it up after today's show. 1 play up in the NHL. It is another best bet. I'm going for 3 straight 4% winners this week. And that's it for me. It's going to be a busy weekend. So fill your cart, guys, and get those plays. What do you have up at WagerTalk, Andrew, and then take us home?
Carm, best bet, UFC on Saturday. Can't wait. It's a huge card. Makachev versus Poirier, but a lot of great plays on the undercard as well. The main thing I want to mention is that CFL season-long package. Shout out to Rob Braley joining us. He's a diehard CFL guy like myself, and we'll try and make some money this season. 10-2 run with the 5% CFL plays, the top-rated plays, and 3 straight profitable seasons. And Carm, this year I'm sending out a win total report. So I already have one narrowed in that I'm working on, finishing that right up here this afternoon. But you guys can get all of my plays in the CFL. Take 25% off today with the Fill Your Cart Friday. So enjoy that, guys. Hopefully we can all cash some tickets this weekend. Have a great one, and we'll see you guys on Monday right here on Puck Time.